Hey everyone. Well, let me see if it's yes. My audio works. Hey everyone. Thanks for being here. I'm Ari Doss at the Commerce Sheet. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. Please hit the like button, share this live stream, subscribe to the channel, become a member of the channel. You can check my novels on Amazon. For example, this is one of them. I published in where was it again? Several years ago by now, 2019, called Leaving Santa Clara. And And please, you can donate in the links below. Thank you very much. Um, how are you all doing today? Let me know in the live chat, please. How are you all doing today? It's nighttime over here, so my voice is a bit low. So, how are you all doing? Let me know in the live chat, please. Thank you very much. Marie's doing well. The mage is here too. That's great. Okay. In this live stream, won't take that long, I believe. I'm going to address, a, not address, I'm going to explain to you a type of cult we often don't realize is a cult. You have various cults out there. You have two main categories of cults. You have common cults, which is a bunch of people clocking together, want to escape some specific challenge in life. That's a common cult. And you also have satanic cults. Those are cults who are so desperate for their daily relief that they go so far to commit violent, bloody crime. Yes, bloody crime because they believe in bloodshed. So you have satanic cults and you have just regular common cults. But those are the main two types of cults. But then you have various categories of cults. For example, you have lifestyle cults. For example, you have fitness cults. You have cults of people dressing a certain way. You have cults of people um, eating a certain way. You have vegan cults also. You have nationalistic cults. Those are common ones, especially now with the right wing that is crashing now. People are striving towards some type of patriotic nationalism. You have cosmopolitan cults, so people have global lifestyles. Now, look, I want you to understand the following. Just because a bunch of people would think in a similar way, join together, doesn't mean they are a cult. For example, I go to anime and comic book conventions from time to time, just have a good time with friends and with associates. I dress up as Blade or as Takeshi or Brock from Pokemon, whatever. Does that mean I'm part of an anime cult? No. Does it mean I'm part of a comic book cult? No. It just means from time to time I go to such conventions. When the convention is over, I put the costume back in the wardrobe and life continues. For example, I'm an anthropologist. And as an anthropologist, I look into social movements. So I may even attend meetings of social movements time to time. Just because I attend a meeting of social movement doesn't mean I'm part of the social movement? No. It doesn't mean the social movement by definition of cult? No. So understand, just because people have a similar lifestyle and they come together doesn't mean they are a cult. Okay? I see Aaron's here. Hey Aaron, I'm glad you're here, brother. You're right on time. So understand this. A cult, there are two types of cults. I'm not talking about categories of cults. I'm talking about two types of cults. You have common cults, which are just a bunch of people clocking together to escape a specific daily challenge. And you have satanic cults, which cults were so desperate for daily relief that they go to violent, bloody crime to achieve the relief. Okay? And from all cults, you have categories. You have a lot of self-help cults also out there. Think about The Secret, the Law of Attraction came out a little while ago, and a lot of people fell for it. You have social media cults also, or you have people who are against social media, and they also form their own cults. Say, oh, save social media as much as possible. So go back to dumb phones. And by the way, for when you give comments, please let it relate to the topic, please. Thank you very much. Now, a social movement can be the result of the public having enough of something. However, just because you're upset with a situation and you form a group against the situation doesn't mean you have a solution. Because if the bad situation has to go, what are we going to replace it with? Let's say there's a military dictator running the country, and people are fed up with this military dictator. Okay, you can have many people join together to overthrow the military dictator. Okay, if you want the military dictator and his bullshit to go, I can understand that. But there needs to be something else in its place that's better. And a lot of social movements, they're good in attacking what's wrong, but they're not good, let alone effective in replacing the bad with better. If there's something in place that's wrong, it's wrong. Something in place that's wrong, it's wrong. We're not going to sugarcoat it. But can you replace it with better? If you want to replace with better, what are the challenges in getting better? As this was you need to understand, a legitimate social movement has a policy they want to enforce. A policy is an outcome you're campaigning for. Let's say you want people to work 24 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week. That's an outcome. And now you make efforts to in various ways to achieve people having 24-hour work week instead of 40 hours. That's a form of a policy. A policy is an outcome you're campaigning for. So if there's a social movement, so a lot of people are joining a movement, there must be a policy they want to enforce. Forget about what they're fighting against. What are they fighting for? Okay, let me say it one more time. Forget what people are fighting against. What are they fighting for? Okay, if, for example, you have a lot of crime in a country, uh, if you have a lot of crime in a country, and people are upset with the crime, let's say for example, femicide. By the way, femicide isn't just any woman being murdered, because you have women that kill women, you have men that kill women, you have groups that kill women. Just because a woman is murdered doesn't mean they're murdered because they're a woman, because of hatred towards women. It could be the individual's murdered because of some drug deal that went wrong, or because of a jealous spouse, whatever they did. But people tend to label every murder of a female as femicide, which is not correct. It's popular to do so, but as anthropologists and sociologists say that's not correct. Okay, let's say now you actually have femicide, people that hate women so much you just want to take them out. Let's say you have this problem in your country. You marching down the street against femicide. Are you bitching, complaining all the time about men need to behave themselves? Not going to solve anything. Okay, so you need to admit there's a problem. Women being murdered on a regular basis because of some deep hatred towards women. You're upset with that. That's obvious. So what do you want? Do you want a situation where all women are safe? You can never achieve 100% safety by your own human means. So you have to forget about that. Okay? So you want to have to be the norm that women are safe in the country. Okay, that's what you want. So that's what you are fighting for, that women can be safe. in the country. And what's in the way of women being safe? The femicide. So you focus on what you're for, because that's what you're fighting for, and less so than what you're fighting against. The moment, the focus in the moment is more about what they're fighting against, you need to start asking yourself, oh, something's wrong here. Either the movement is a setup by some satanic cult or by the government, or the movement has been hijacked, because movements can be hijacked by saboteurs also. Because movements, because they consist of people that come and go, the possibility that agents will come in and people with alternative motives is always there. So when you have a social movement and you have something you're fighting for, what you're fighting for, your policy must be worthwhile. So you must be able to account for your policy. And you have to admit this policy is what we propose. There's going to be people who don't agree with the policy. Well, how are we going to deal with that? So what are the challenges in achieving this? Even if the policy you want to enforce is actually good, a good thing, it doesn't mean everyone will get along with it. Some people just don't want solutions. So people that don't want solutions, they're toxic. They're always going to be in the way of anyone who wants to do anything good on the earth. So how are you going to deal with it? You have to be real about, okay, this is a policy, something we want to have. There is outcome we're campaigning for, but the outcome will be resisted. And when the outcome is there may be some challenges we have to deal with. So a legitimate movement is real about all of this. And they're even clear what their policy is. A movement that's more about fighting something bad, what they perceive as bad, than about enforcing a policy they consider good. Watch out with it. Because such quote unquote movements end up becoming cults often. Think about this immigration tendency that's developed in the West. It has been around all the time, but since 2015, it's skyrocketed. Due to this refugee crisis from Syria. People are so upset with, oh, we don't want mass migration. It's a bad thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but what do you actually want? Oh, we want homogenous, quote unquote, white societies. First of all, there's something wrong with this. First of all, there's no such thing as white people. White people is a financial term from the 17th century, invented by the English colonizers to identify people they financially approved to live in their colonies. And the term black people was something that became the norm in the Kingdom of France with the Cote Noir, the Black Coast from 1685. So, what actually do you want? So, you want an homogeneous society where everyone looks the same, talks the same way, and thinks the same way. That's what a lot of these anti-immigration people want. And why? But now, so if that's the policy, that's what you consider a good outcome. Justify it. Why do we need that? Oh, because we have less crime right now. People get along better. Okay, let's go back before the 1950s, before there was all this mass migration, where most of the quote unquote European societies were relatively homogeneous. At least that's what people perceived it to be. People kind of look the same, talk the same, believe the same. Okay, was everyone getting along back then? No. Was there iniquity back then? Yes. Were there wars back then? Yes. So when they actually have to give an account for what they want, homogeneous, quote unquote, white societies, they cannot justify it because all the arguments they come up with don't add up with reality nor history. So then they shift back to attacking the migrants. And often there's Islamophobia, hating Islam, fighting Islam. So they're so obsessed with fighting some group of people that it becomes delusional. So that's an example I'm giving to you. Human beings can have social movements. You have social movements in the Old Testament times, you have to now on the New Testament times also. But again, there needs to be a policy that they can defend. They need to be open and real that the policy will face challenges and they be willing to be flexible how they achieve that policy. Then a social movement is safe to be part of. Then it's not a cult. The moment it's not transparent, the moment it's not flexible, and they're not able to account for what they want, and they're not realistic how to negotiate that policy, you're likely dealing with occults. I'm just being real with you. And just so you all know, when Black Lives Matter emerged in, I believe, 2012, it was, anyway, it's a while back, there was the killing of, I believe, Trayvon Martin. Back then, I was just an anthropology student still at Leiden University. And let me tell you, the beginning of Black Lives Matter, I already thought this a bit weird. Um, where's the policy? I never read any policy that they wanted to enforce. I never heard them justify their policy with facts or with research or whatever. I never heard them admit the challenges of implementing their policy. There was no policy, let alone a justification, let alone a flexibility towards it. But that's the main thing, no policy. A year later, in Amsterdam, there was some Black Lives Matter rally, I believe. So we wanted to join. So we signed up on social media. But right before we wanted to go to Amsterdam to actually be part of it, they told us, listen, you guys believe in Jesus Christ? Oh my God, you guys are so ignorant, y'all. You guys need to learn about Egyptian gods. You guys need to learn about Ptah, about Osiris. And they began to mention Egyptian magic and all that. I thought to myself, what? I thought you guys were resisting movements against racial violence against the African Americans. But now you guys talk about Egyptian gods, magic, spells, all of that, and you say we have a lot to learn. Look down on us because we follow Christ. I knew from that point on, okay, this is just a container movement, and there's something behind it that I cannot trust. The message that people from African American descent, the people are something that are world, their lives matter. I agree with that, of course. That doesn't mean they say that nobody else matters. It shows that in the United States, often the lives of those people aren't considered valuable in the open. Well, I don't think the United States values anyone's life directly based on the policies, the political moves they're doing, but you get what I mean. So even though the message may be something that's true, the movement doesn't have to be true. So I always was a bit hesitant with Black Lives Matter, and later on, they came on the criminal investigation, and one of the founders, I believe, of Black Lives Matter, one of the big figures in it, a woman, took the donations, the cash from donations, and bought a big villa in a quote unquote white neighborhood. So I thought to myself, I knew it. Something's off about this. Listen, there needs to be a policy, so an outcome campaigning for, and the outcome they must be able to justify it with research or references, whatever. They also must be able to admit that there will be challenges because some people just don't want solution. Well, how we can deal with that, and it be flexible how they achieve and enforce their policy. If all that is missing, you're likely dealing with a cult. Okay, but okay. So now I've explained that about social movements. There's a type of cult. Now there's a category of cult I want to address, not type, but there's a category of cult I want to address right now that is quite mainstream, but a lot of people will never ever want to admit it's a cult. There are various ways to call this category of cults. They are called truthers, truth seekers. They are called whatever term they're using for them. Now, a lot of people call them conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, all of that. But what I'm saying is, there are cults out there who claim they're all about exposing the truth. But when you look at what they're actually doing, they're putting you in danger. Let me explain why. How many of you heard the following: 9/11 was an inside job? How many of you heard that phrase before? 9/11 was an inside job. How many of you heard this before? If you're from the United States, you likely heard it, but I just want to ask. How many of you heard of 9/11 was an inside job? How many of you heard that before? Let me know in the live chat. Okay. Now, when 9/11 happened, was 2001, I was 10 years old. I was born 1991. So when it happened, I was around 10 years, I was 10 years old. I can still remember it scared a lot of people, even here in the Netherlands. I was just 10 years old. I saw the news images of the airplanes hitting the towers, all of that. I thought, oh my God. As a 10-year-old, and you have something like this, and a lot of people around you get scared. Okay. Later in my teenage years, when I was 13, 14 years old, oh, 30, 40 years young, I'm sorry. I'm not old. I need to teach myself not to use a cursed speech. But anyway, by the way, in Spanish, Portuguese say I have many years, not years old. Old means you are outdated, decayed, useless. Okay, but anyway, when I was from 13, 14 years young, I looked at this whole story of 9/11 because it was being mailed out by then. After this 9/11 thing, you had the invasion in Iraq, Afghanistan, you had the war against terror, and suddenly there was a war against Islamic terror. A lot of people became afraid of Islam. So all that was happening when I was around 13, 14. Around when I was 15, it was at that time I began to actually fast and pray. I've been fasting, praying, and walking in the power of God since age 15. Okay? So when I was 15, I began to walk in power, fast in prayer. I immediately realized, okay, a lot of people are saying that 9/11 was an inside job, was conspiracy theory, and all that. And I kind of listened to a lot of people talking. You had Alex Jones, if you may know him already, speaking. You had various other names I don't even remember anymore. Some of them passed away already. And they all spit out facts. Facts here, facts here, facts there. But one thing they never said was, okay, what are we going to do about this? There was never a what are we going to do about this? Because even as a teenager, I saw, okay, this story of 9/11, it's, I don't know, man. The fact that they claim that a billionaire from Saudi Arabia will live in some cave in Afghanistan, a guy with kidney problems, was able to trigger young men. And these young men, they fancied, so some even fancied luxurious lifestyles to give up their life by hijacking airplanes. And for some reason, none of the military installation in the United States worked that day to detect it. And also, how did they identify them? They said they found their passports on the rubble. Wait, so the steel in the Twin Towers melted and crashed, but paper passports survived under the rubble? And there was so much rubble around. How did you find the pop? When hearing that story, I thought to myself, come on now, people. So I understood a lot of people questioned the 9/11 narrative, but here's the thing. They all remained in questioning phase. When you question something, it's because you pick up something's wrong. So if you pick up something is wrong and you question it, that's good. But you can't keep on questioning. So then went from 9/11, then went to almost they say question everything. And later I started, when I finished, later I started university, and I thought to myself, after my finishing my freshman year of university at Line University, I thought to myself, don't a minute. They all keep saying question everything, but come on now. As a human being, you need to have something to look forward to. If you have none to look forward to, that's not good for your mental health. And if your mental health declines, your physical health will decline too. So you need something to look forward to. So if you question something because it's bad, then you admit that the current thing that's around is bad. Okay. So you have to divert, rem- you have to give up what's bad and work towards better. When you look at a lot of these quote unquote truthers or truth seekers, be from the truth movement or conscious movement or whatever you want to call them, they never offer you a worldwide alternative. I mean, okay, Let me give an example. Well, let me ask you a question. Would you rather have, um, I know it's a tricky question. Would you rather have toxic parents raising a child or the child being a homeless orphan on the street? What do you rather have? A child being becoming a homeless orphan on the streets or a child being raised by toxic parents? What do you prefer? Let me know in the live chat. Okay. Aaron said the toxic parent situation. What does the rest say? Maria said toxic too? Okay. We do not approve parents being toxic. Hell no. We do not approve of that. We don't condone it. And they must be dealt with. Because that child will turn into an adult that's defective, and who has to live with that defective adult? We do as a community. And apart from that, if you harm a child and they're an adult now and they're damaged, they can become a portal to evil spirits. So we do not condone toxic parents being toxic. However, if a child grows up with toxic parents, yes, they will become a damaged adult, but they're still alive. And as a damaged adult, they can go into therapy and they can improve. But if a child is totally abandoned and homeless on the street, they'll likely die because they can't do anything for themselves, or they will be recruited by criminal groups. And criminal groups, oh, they love to adopt orphans, I'm telling you. Criminal groups, even terrorist groups, they love to adopt orphans. Because, hey, the orphan will realize everyone abandoned me. Even the government abandoned me. So why the heck should I care about the law of the land? Why should I care about the legal system, the police, all that? All abandoned me. This group here supported me. So they'll become radical for the group. And a lot of terrorist groups, as well as criminal groups, they love to take care of orphans because of that reason. Now, some of these criminals may have good intentions because they have genuine human empathy towards the child, but they're still part of criminality. So a homeless orphan, either the child dies, it's a tragedy, or they end up recruited by criminal and terrorist organizations. And we have a big problem later on. A child grown with toxic parents, at least you can later form that individual or contain them if necessary. But it doesn't mean that because you prefer a child to be raised with toxic parents than to be homeless on the street, that you approve of and agree and condone toxic parenthood. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. Now let's go. I have another question for you. Would you rather have a country with no government whatsoever, no guidelines, nothing, or would you rather have an incompetent, corrupt government, um, this exploitative? Would you rather have a situation where anything goes, there's no authority, no government, nothing, or a situation where you have something in place but it's incompetent, toxic, and corrupt? What do you prefer? Aaron says a corrupt situation was arresting. Okay, so we kind of all agree over here. The situation of a corrupt, incompetent, and wasteful government, we don't approve of it, we don't condone it, and we're not happy with it. And nobody should even support it. However, if there is no administration whatsoever, that means uh, anyone can just act whatever they want. You're gonna have more conflicts. If a conflicts were going to solve the conflicts, and because you have no oversight of the country, you don't even have a country. You just have a wasteland where nobody has any certainty of anything. And in such situation, evildoers, oh my God, evildoers take advantage of that. I'm not saying evildoers cannot take advantage of a government when it's corrupt on that. Of course they do. Nevertheless, if you have a corrupt government, they know that all the psychopaths and sociopaths are flooding towards the government. Because psychopaths and sociopaths, they feed off narcissistic supply from the population. And what's the best way to get narcissistic supply? By having leverage over people. So, if the government is corrupt and all that, like all the wasteful people will flood towards the government and compete to have a position over there. And that means that it's easy to identify who are the evil ones around you. But if you have nothing in place and evil people are just all over the place, that's a hell situation. So, okay. So if you have groups who are opposing the corruption of the government and call it out, we agree with it. However, unless they have the dedication to replace the current government with a better one or to work towards a better government, we cannot take them serious. Why? Because, okay, if a government is corrupt and it's bad, okay, we admit that. We don't put up with that. But what if you overthrow that government and you have nothing else in place? Is that a bad situation? No, that's a horrible situation, even worse. Now, okay, if you have a government that's corrupt and incompetent and people keep justifying it or act like nothing happens, that's evil. If people keep making excuses for the corrupt government or they keep acting like nothing goes on, they're facilitating evil. That's wrong. That's cult to begin with. In that case, the government became a cult to these people. That's wrong. What's also wrong is when people just want to escalate on the corrupt government without actually replacing it with a better situation. Okay? So think about this. As believers, we can't just go around overthrowing every satanic stronghold. No, don't get me wrong. A satanic stronghold should be overthrown because it's satanic. It shouldn't exist. And even if people consent to it, just people consent to something doesn't mean it's okay for it to happen. There were people in the Second World War who consented to the mass murders were going on. Okay, there were people consenting to it. There were people allowing it to happen, but just because they were able to do that doesn't mean they should have done it. Doesn't mean it's okay. Okay, evil is evil, wrong is wrong, even if many people do it or agree to it. However, as a believer, as believers, we understand we cannot overthrow every satanic stronghold without a dedication placed with better. Let me give an example to you. Let's say you have a lot of prostitution in an area. You have a lot of hookers on the streets. You have sex workers having their own companies, making a lot of cash. Sometimes you have people selling sex just randomly in a supermarket, all of that. So what I'm saying is, let's say prostitution is an infectious problem in a community, and it kind of irritates a lot of people with all this prostitution. And because of the prostitution, a lot of women are trafficked and exploited too. And even led to minors, children being exploited. So a lot of people think, okay, this has gone out of hand. Okay, the current situation is prostitution is out of hand, also harming children, so it needs to stop. Okay, what are you going to replace it with? If people can answer that question, okay, they already know that. Okay, either they're naive and tricked, or they're just wasteful people. They just want to offload. Okay, so what do you want to replace it with? A safe situation. Okay, but what will make a safe situation? It's a sexual problem in the community. That's why so you need to ask yourself, prostitution is the outcome of sexual dysfunction in the community. Because if the community was sexually healthy and sexually stable, there wouldn't even be any prostitution. So because there's sexual dysfunction in the community, that's why prostitution became the outlet of this dysfunction. So you can't just be upset with the prostitution and go hard on the prostitution, arrest all the pimps, shut down all the brothels, arrest all these hookers on the streets. You can't just go hard on prostitution, which is the outcome of dysfunction, but you don't address the dysfunction itself. Do you follow me right now? You have to say, okay, there's a lot of prostitution, we want it to stop. It's a result of sexual dysfunction. One, can we make everyone sexually healthy? No. Can we guarantee everyone will become sexually healthy? No. We can facilitate sexual health in the community by changing the policies that we have, by adjusting legislation, and by putting campaigns in the public. We can do all of that. We can even promote sexual healthy lifestyles. But we cannot guarantee that everyone will be sexually healthy. There will also be sexually unhealthy people around. So prostitution will exist till the day Jesus Christ comes back. So we cannot eradicate prostitution, no matter how hard we are. And we don't have enough space We can't just keep building prisons, filling it with people, because everyone we put in prison is an individual less in contribute to the community. If we put 10,000 people in prison, those 10,000 people will can't contribute to the economy. What if in those 10,000 people you have lawyers, you have masons, or you have accountants, all of that? All these people you put in prison had a function in the community. You take them out, that means you have a deficit now. And we can't just keep putting people in prison. Who's going to pay for all of that? So, we can't eradicate prostitution, period. But we can address and deal with the sexual dysfunction to push the public towards a sexually healthy lifestyle. So now you realize, okay, we want prostitution to be gone because it also harms children, all of that. The solution is we need to address the sexual dysfunction and push towards sexual stability in the population. That means couples who are sexually healthy, promotes them. Couples who have children and they make them do their best for children, make life easier on them. That means companies who make life hard on the employees, uh, sanction them, because the people that work there have families to feed. So if they make it hard on the parents, it's going to affect the children. And then you have damaged adults. So be real and actually take the steps necessary. And once you are focused on developing a sexually healthy culture, you will see prostitution will drop, and the little bit of prostitution you have left, you can regulate it. You don't have to make it legal and approve of it. By the way, legal doesn't mean it's approved or not good. It just means it's tolerated. You can keep it illegal as you want, but still you can regulate it with informers from the police, whatever. That's a realistic way to deal with prostitution. But this whole fight prostitution very hard is bullshit. You're fighting the outcome of a dysfunction. Without addressing dysfunction that leads to the outcome. What are you doing? Same with the war on drugs. First of all, a war is fought against individuals or groups. A war cannot be fought against ideas or against a phenomenon, because a war is against people or groups who do something, not against what they're doing. So war on drugs, there's no actual goal over there. Why do you have the drug trade? Why do you have drug dealers on the streets? Why do you have drug cartels? Because a lot of people crave drugs. Why do people crave drugs? Because they want to escape daily life. Why do they want to escape daily life? Because they're socially neglected. So it's the social neglect of the people that lead to them escaping psychologically by taking drugs. So the drug addictions and the trade in illegal drugs is because of people an, craving an outlet from the psychological problems. And the drug cartels and drug dealers taking advantage of the mental problems of the public. That's what they're doing. So if you arrest all the drug dealers in a city, before you know you have other drug dealers because the craving for the escape has not disappeared. Why do people become drug addicts? Because they're damaged and neglected by their communities, of their own families. So admit that there is a problem with abandonment in the community. And if someone became a drug addict, 9 out of 10 times they were abandoned or neglected by their own families and people around them. So they've been victimized by the public, they've been damaged by the public. Now, of course, as grown people, they have the responsibility to look at themselves, look for help. Of course, that however doesn't change the way that they didn't become like that all by themselves. So the community failed them. So the community has to own up to the failure and say, you know what? We damaged you. We let bad things happen to you. You can't function properly. Hey, we're going to put you in rehab right now. And we're going to work on you, invest our tax dollars in you till you're better. Portugal did this, and they saw success in it too. The United States just want to fight, fight, fight all the time against drug addicts, drug dealers, and things get worse, worse, and worse. So instead of dealing with the actual abandonment issues that afflict the population, they want to distract from the real issue by arresting a lot of drug dealers. Now, I'm not saying you should not arrest drug dealers. You should, absolutely. But just arresting drug dealers is not going to solve anything. People should not become drug dealers and exploit the psychological wounds of other people. Hell no. That's cruel. That's narcissistic. Shouldn't happen. And drug dealers shouldn't think that they are so powerful the right to kill other people and that. Hell no. What What we all should not be doing is acting like the drug dealer is the problem, and we have to get rid of the drug dealer by either putting them all in prison or murdering them, like some countries want to do, shooting, killing all drug dealers. The whole problem is over. No, the problem is still there because the people are the problem, and the people need to be addressed. Even though not everyone's going to change and become better, you still need to address the people because the people are the problem. All right? The drug addict is a failure of the people. So the people have to be addressed also. How are you going to improve a situation if you don't address what isn't going right? Yes, you have law enforcement courts. You have law enforcement courts. You have people that join the police forces with this idea, oh, we're going to catch the bad guys. And that becomes their motivation to, if that's their main motivation, fighting a problem, they in the police force to join with other police officers from their own calls. I'm telling you, there are law enforcement calls out there as we speak. And some of them even use their leverage as a police officer to go outside of the law to do things. It happens. It happens a lot. Because they see clearly that the system is not addressing the real problem. God is good. Is this live stream helpful to you? Let me know in the live chat, please. Let me know. So, not everyone that joins a movement is there because they have wrong intentions. Listen, a cult loves to have good intentions because a cult always hides behind a good cause. Now, there are people who are fighting for good causes out there. Nothing wrong with that in itself. However, cults love to use good causes to hide behind. So if you have good intention, fight for a good cause, oh my God, cults love you. Especially you're naive. You're not that informed. Oh my God. They're as wolves in sheep's clothing, they approach you. They'll prey on you. I'm telling you. What I'm saying is that someone can be lied to and tricked. It happened to all of us. But someone cannot remain tricked for long. At some point, you're going to realize what heck am I part of? And if at that point you don't want to face that something's wrong, now you're part of the problem now. Now you're full part of the problem because you will not admit you've been tricked. For example, you have this quote unquote movement on the internet, especially on YouTube, says everything you see on social media, everything you see on mainstream media, every bad thing happens in the world is all staged. They will even say that, dude, let me tell you, if the United States would get into war, let's say the Third World War break out right now. I'm I don't know if it's going to break out. Let's say the Third World War broke out right now, and Russia or China shoot missiles at U.S. cities. People can see on live TV the missiles dropping and exploding. They'll say, "Man, that's all fake. It's CGI, man. All you know is an inside job. They plan to do that, man. It's just this." You have people who are so far gone. They don't want to accept that actual tragedy and harm exists. They want to act like everything is fake, because everything is fake. We have no obligation or anything about anything. That's what goes on. There are psyops out there. We know it. There are false flags out there. By the way, in a false flag is an actual event where people get hurt and injured, but it's done um, by the people themselves who claim to be fighting the terrorists. As there was a proposal in the United States several decades ago to murder US citizens and blame it on Cuba to have an excuse to invade Cuba, so false flags happen. But just know that not everything, not every major event out there is a hoax or a planned thing. There are actual real conflicts breaking out. Now, warfare, generally speaking, has been orchestrated fights by the elites. That's true. But it doesn't mean throughout history there were no actual real civil wars happening. And it doesn't mean there was no real animosity between nations. Just that warfare, since the Greek Empire, became the ritual relief mechanism for nations. Now, as of recent, this relief mechanism got out of hand, and now there's actual true fight until your death scenarios emerging. Because Jesus said that nation will rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Why did Jesus say that? Because when Jesus walked the earth on the Roman Empire, Jesus knew that war was a hoax in the sense that there were actual fights and soldiers and civilians dying, but the whole conflict was orchestrated to relieve the world. Jesus knew that. So there may have been animosity between peoples, but from the elite point of view, it was just a game they played with human lives, the lives of soldiers and civilians. Jesus knew that. But Jesus warned it's going to be a time when actually the nations themselves will go against one another. So that's slowly happening right now. Okay? So people that act like every major event is either a hoax or it's not real, they're out of their mind. That's a cult. So people that always question everything and tell not to trust anybody, I'm sorry to say, but that's paranoid. It's not healthy to distrust, to be in a continuous state of distrust. It's not mentally sound, not physically healthy to remain in a perpetual state of distrust. You should only question something if the situation is questionable. If you question things when situation is questionable, I'm sorry, but you have an issue. Something's not right with you. You need professional help. If you keep questioning things over and over again, even if it's nothing questionable going on, you see what I mean? So these question everything, trust nobody cults out there, because you have many of them, they bring more harm than good. And many people's lives have been ruined by listening to some of these influencers or self-help gurus or so-called prophets who come in the name of the Lord preaching what God had even sent them. Yes, you should question things when they're questionable. And you should self-reflect and reflect on those around you to see whether everything is correct. You should do that. What you should not do is act like nothing is real, nothing is trustworthy. That's a very nihilistic, depressed way. It's kind of a suicidal way to look at life. Question everything, trust nobody. What? And a lot of people don't question these statements. Well, I'm doing it right now. Did you ever listen? By the way, I'm not condemning you over here. I just want you to admit yourself. Did you ever listen to anyone or to people from these question everything, trust nobody calls? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. Mm. Yeah, many of us did. I mean, no aware that they were part of cults. Listen, don't blame yourself. You didn't know any better. Just know you've been harmed by that. Maybe not. You may not have been harmed intensely, but you were distracted and hindered by listening to these people because they have demons behind them. Some of them are even wizards themselves or high-ranking warlocks who know what they're doing. So filter out all the nonsense they told you, retain the good information, and just move on. That's what you do now. These people who part of this question everything, trust nobody calls, what they're actually saying is they don't want to face anything in life. They want to be left alone. They want to exist at ease with no obligation, with nobody going to bother them with reality. So they're nihilistic, narcissistic cowards who will let everyone die and perish, who will neglect everything and everyone, including themselves, just because they want to do anything. That's what these people are. Now, if someone is listening to one of these cult leaders and not aware of cult leaders, they're just people are deceived. They're just deceived people. But if people are listening to these folks for a long time and they just don't notice things off, begin to question them. All right? All right. Are there any other questions about this topic? Please let me know in the live chat, please. Please let me know. Any questions, y'all? hmm Look, one thing I want you to remember: if someone is in a cult or if someone is mentally gone, other people can see this. But just because other people see it doesn't mean that other people themselves are not deceived or in a cult. People in cults can easily see when others are in cults or when others are out of their mind. But often they don't see how out of their mind themselves are. It's something that often happens. As a matter of fact, right now, especially in the Western world, it's quite hard to find someone who's truly self-reflecting and admitting things. It's very hard to find people like that, but it's still around. You still have a righteous remnant around. You do have them. It's like during the days of Elijah. Okay, so pay close attention to this. You only question things when they're questionable. All right. Okay, I see. So Aaron said something. Let me see. For example, what comes to mind for me is those who claim almost every celebrity woman is actually a man. I don't know how that's proven, and I list to them, but I end up confused. Okay, let me talk about that. It is true that in the occult, in 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 wizardry, all of that, there are rituals for sexual confusion being done to the public. Okay, I'm a male, as you can see. I'm built as a man. I'm not going to show everything because, first of all, I'm not going to do that. What the hell? No. But you can see I'm a man. Okay. If you would strip me naked, you can see it's a man. If you do an X-ray on me, you can see the organs in the body have a male ratio, a male proportion. If you take my DNA test, you see I have XY chromosomes. I'm a male. Okay. If I would put on a wig with lipstick and dress and fake breast, you may be tricked thinking I'm a woman, but if you look carefully, you realize something is wrong over there. Now, some people go so far to conduct surgery on themselves, mutilate themselves, put in fake breasts, whatever. They even shave away some parts of their bone structure of their faces to narrow their face. I mean, they have expensive surgeries now in which a man can be transformed to look similar to a real biological woman. Okay? But still, they're still a male. I mean, DNA is still male DNA. The spirit essence is still a male essence. It's still a male body, even though it's mutilated and popped out on drugs. So the essence is still male. So at some point, you are going to be confused by it. So these sexual confusion rituals through trannies, as they call them. I know some people think that's a derogatory term, but anyway, you have what we call trans magic. Trans magic is when you use sexual confusion to put to lower the vibration of the population. And one way it is done is by taking men, present them as women, and by doing this, you sexually stress out the men because their brains get confused because a female image pops into their brain, but it's a male essence, so it brings confusion. Okay, such things happen. Okay, it happened in ancient times when Jesus walked the earth. Even before that, it's happening today with celebrities, but it's not just with celebrities; it's with politicians too. Thing is, it happens. Some go so far to say every woman you see on TV is actually a man. And I'm thinking, do know you have regional TV, right? You have national TV, which often run by big corporations or the government, and you have local TV, run by locals. You have many local TV stations where you still see actual women presenting stuff. So saying that every woman you see on TV is a man, okay, what if a news reporter is in public filming something? I have a lot of women standing there because some accident happened and the report is filming. Are those women men now because they're on TV? No, of course not. So it is true that gender inversion as a type of trans magic, it happens. Okay? And I'm not addressing people that identify as transgender right now. I'm not talking about you guys. You guys, you decide that lifestyle, you live it. I'm not here attacking you nor bothering you. I'm here to talk about trans magic. Okay? By the way, I'm all about male and female, uh, sexual harmony, the blueprint of my father. That's what I'm for. Okay? I have a right to be for that. Okay? You want to deviate? I'm not attacking you. Just know with me, male and female, Adam and Eve. That's what we do over here. What I'm saying is that this trans magic, it happens. And it does affect and harm people, don't get me wrong. But some people are so obsessed with it. I'm thinking, bro, you are making videos and live streams only about trans magic? Huh? No, man, this goes so far. And that makes me question your motives or question you yourself. I mean, what the heck is this? So again, there were people coming out exposing trans magic. I'm happy with those people. But not everyone that started a YouTube channel exposing trans magic really had good intentions. Some did it to confuse you. First of all, again, DNA is masculine or feminine. Okay, you have either a female body or a male body. If you are, if the spermatosis come out of your father's, uh, you know, where spermatosis from your father comes from. If the spermatosis from the father, the biological father, is masculine, that means there's a masculine matter in the spermatosis, and his the axle of the woman. The masculine spirit matter turns into a masculine essence, and it's a boy. It's a male. If the spirit matter in the spermatosis is feminine, it becomes a female essence. It becomes a female. So female essence, female body, male essence, male body. That's how it goes. And the male body is assigned a specific way, and female body is assigned a certain way. The female soul, the essence, is assigned a certain way, and the male soul is addressed a certain way. That's how God built it. And if you understand the design of the Father, you can easily recognize the face. But let me tell you, some of these, they call transformers, are hard to detect because a lot of us, man, this trans magic has affected many of us. So many of us, they didn't even have time to recover from the effects of the trans magic. So if you haven't even recovered from the effects of the trans magic, how are you going to easily, you know, discern all of it? So just know trans magic exists. I talked about it in the past a few times. There were some YouTubers I referred to who often in a satiric way talked about it because these are not things you just can say like that because even if you're right, but the public refuses to admit that someone is transformer, you can be sued and go to prison, pay a fine, all of that. So there were YouTubers using satirical videos uh, explaining. I even refer to some of them. Not that everything they said is true. I never said that. I say you can listen to them and do your own research. Okay? And listen, I even said I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. I don't have all the knowledge. I may be wrong on certain things. Absolutely. I don't know everything. So I always say I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Those are my fields. And if something's out of my fields, I refer you to do your own research or all that. The problem with a lot of these trends, a lot of these exposed channels exposing trans magic is they don't often they're anonymous channels, so you don't know who's behind it. That's a bit weird also. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with an anonymous channel. If you make a YouTube channel because you want to share information or you want to share sensitive things or you want to reveal your identity, I get it. You can do that. But too many of these a lot of these channels exposing trans magic, they're done by anonymous channels. So maybe it's the same people behind the same channel. I don't know. Second is they don't refer to other research. They don't even mention other research. I'm thinking, okay, it's a bit tricky. You hear me? So don't be weighed down by that. Don't get me wrong, trans magic happens. Okay? The purpose is to stretch you out sexually, to lower your quality as a spirit being so that demons can have a hold on you. That's what it's about. And it also mess up the minds of the women. And when the women are messed up, it goes going to drain the men in the population, and then demons have a full grip. Demons want to turn women into portals so you can get to the men because demons hate women, but they're obsessed with human males. So trans magic is to achieve that and to mess up the women psychologically and emotionally so that they become portals the demons can hop on to drain them in. And so now I know the whole picture. Do you have any other questions? Let me know in the live chat. Okay, and again, any other questions? Thank you for being here. Again, it's okay, it's Shabbat right now. Keep agreement with Christ. I'll see you next time. Be at peace.